The Ninth Doctor and his companions, Rose Tyler and Jack Harkness, travel to modern day Cardiff, meet up with Rose's boyfriend Mickey. There, they discover that their quote unquote enemy, Blomvelfart's Pasimer Day Sliding, is very much alive, if without an easy escape route from Earth, and is willing to rip apart the planet to ensure her freedom. Welcome, friends, companions, enemies, and Wuvians. Welcome to the Random Entertainment Channel. I'm your host, Enigmatic Joker. How are you doing today? So, sci-fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport. And if you got any ideas for live streams, you can put it under this video, where you can contact me via Discord or DM me. We don't do politics or religion because it's not net entertainment. We want to have it in a good place here, and so we do that. Don't do that. We don't do politics or religion. So who oh well, random also because we will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. Random because we'll broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what the time the broadcast is. Random also because we'll have no guest or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in the live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel, tag Doctor Who. And you will find me because I bump my server regularly. So cheers, mate, and have a lot of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. Today, we have a ninth Doctor story. Yeah! Christopher Eccleston. In the a story called Boomtown. So, how is this live stream built up? First, I do some general info. Then, we talk about the plot. Before we talk about the plot, I will give a spoiler alert. Then I will name some cast members. Then I do some world building. I do some story notes. And in the end, we do some continuity context. So, let's go then. Newtown with Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor. So, some general info. Boomtown was the 11th episode of Series 1 of Doctor Who. It featured the reappearance of blonde Velfart's Passamir Day Sliding, disguised as Margaret Blaine, a Sliding who previously had appeared in Aliens of London and World War III. It also included significant development of the relationship between Rose and Mickey. Off screen, the future version of Jack was keeping his staff of Torchwood free from interfering with these events to avoid distorting his timeline and the Doctor's. The episode was the first to be set in modern Cardiff and established that the Cardiff space-time rift implied in the Inquiet Dead was still present in the 21st century and releasing enough energy to fuel the TARDIS. It thus laid critical narrative groundwork for Torchwood's central theme. It also introduced the extrapolator and established the energy present at the heart of the TARDIS, both crucial elements of the Series 1 finale. Finally, it contained the main character's first major recognition of the bad wolf meme. So that's the general info. And then, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched this story / episode yet, I highly recommend you to watch this first and then continue to listen to this live stream. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Okay, there we go. In an office in Cardiff, a scientist brings his concerns to Major Margaret Blaine over a new nuclear power plant to be built there. It's dangerous, almost as if it had been intentionally built to explode. Blaine asks him if he has told anyone else about his findings. He replies that he did not, and instead went directly to her. She commends him for making the right choice, as she apparently and audibly experienced some gas. As the scientist expresses his relief that Blaine will shut down the project, she reveals herself to be a Sladine and kills the scientist. The Ninth Doctor has landed the TARDIS over the Cardiff lift, located in the Roald Dahl class, using slow radiation leakage to recharge the TARDIS. As the process will take a whole day, he, Rose, and Jack are joined by Mickey Smith and take the opportunity to explore the area. While they enjoy a meal at a restaurant, the Doctor notices to his dismay the front page of the Western Mail with the headline New Major, New Cardiff, and a new picture of Blaine, whom they know as the human form of Blondfell Fudge Passamir de Sledine, whom they previously had encountered. Since their meeting, Blon has become the Lord Mayor of Cardiff and initiated the construction of a nuclear power plant. However, several people had found significant flaws in the design that could lead to a nuclear meltdown and had approached her about these issues, but it has since disappeared. Blan having killed them herself. During a press conference, a young reporter named Katie Salt approached Blonde about these deaths and the information they had left behind. Blonde thinks she could have a word in private. A loud rumble in her belly gives her an excuse to go to the toilet, and she takes Katie with her. Disgusted as she hears Blonde on the toilet, Katie notes they got there just in time. Blonde gets out of her skin suit and plans to kill her, but has a change of heart as Katie talks about her family and unborn child, realizing that she herself no longer has one. Realizing that they must stop Blonde, the doctor's group converges on City Hall and eventually capture Blonde after chasing her through the repeated uses of a teleporter. She tells the group that the teleporter is how she has escaped the destruction of the rest of her family, and that she hopes that as she planned, the meltdown of the planet would open the rift and destroy the planet, whether using a hidden tribophysical waveform macrokinetic extrapolator, a pan-dimensional surfboard, to escape the explosion. The Doctor notices that the name of the planet, Leidro, is Welsh for quote-unquote bad wolf, a phrase that he has observed before in his adventures with Rose, but he shrugs it off as a coincidence. The Doctor tells Blonde he will take her back to her planet, home planet of Exploratorius. But Blonde notice that the Sledin family are convicted criminals there, and she will be executed upon her return, which the Doctor insists is not his problem. Jack recognizes that the extrapolator can be used to halve the time to refuel the TARDIS, and stays there to install it. Rose and Mickey go out for a drink to discuss their relationship. Mickey, while inviting Rose to a hotel room, claims to be seeing someone else since Rose is not there for him. Rose counters that she knows the woman, that Mickey doesn't even like her, and that's never gonna happen, so who do you think you're kidding? She argues that this conversation has nothing to do with Tricia. Mickey says that he can't even go out with a girl from the shop because Rose picks up the phone to say she's coming back to present day Earth, and Mickey comes running for her. When Mickey claims he'd wait for Rose for the rest of his life, Rose apologizes. At the request of Blonde, the Doctor joins her for one last meal at her favorite restaurant. Equipped with bracelets that will electrocute Blonde if she gets more than 10 feet away from the Doctor. Blonde attempts to kill the Doctor through various means, but the Doctor is able to occasionally block the attempts. Blonde then attempts to gain the Doctor's sympathy, bringing up her childhood and her last-minute change of heart over killing Katie. Though the Doctor dismisses her act of kindness as a way of living with herself, he does sympathize. Before he can agree to take her elsewhere, however, a large earthquake shakes the area. The group reassembles in the TARDIS, where a bright column of light is shooting up overhead. Jack tells the Doctor that it's the power from the rift, drawn by the extrapolator. Blonde reveals that this was her plan all along. The extrapolator would have been found by someone of sufficiently advanced technology to recognize the Slidine, who would have activated it, causing it to lock onto the nearest alien power source, the TARDIS in this case, to tear open the rift and eventually the Earth, while she would have still ridden the device to escape destruction. Blonde takes Rose hostage, choking her and demands the extrapolator or Rose will die. The Doctor warns her that it isn't just any ship her device has latched upon. This is the TARDIS. Before she can use the extrapolator, the heart of the TARDIS opens and shines in her face. Blonde dreamily looks into the light with a smile, then beams at the Doctor, pathetically telling him, "Thank you." The light overtakes her, and shortly her skin suit falls empty to the console floor. The Doctor manages to close the TARDIS console and reseal the drift once more. When they investigate the suit, they find a slithering egg. The Doctor surmises, as the Doctor is telepathic, as the TARDIS is telepathic. It may, it may have sensed that Blonde wanted a second chance and gave that to her. As the Doctor, Rose, and Jack prepare to travel to Rexportorius to deliver the egg, Rose realizes that Mickey has left. The Doctor offers to wait for him, but Rose lets him go, allowing him to also have a second chance. So, and that, my friends and Wovians, is the plot. Now I name some cast members. The Doctor is played by Christopher Eccleston. Rose Tyler is played by Billy Piper. Mr. Cleaver is played by William Thomas. Margaret is played by Annette Butland. Captain Jack is played by John Barman. Mickey is played by Noah Clark. Katie is played by Molly Harris. Idris Hopper is played by Annette Patrick. And Slidine is played by Ellen Briscoe. Okay, now some world building. Jack mentions someone named Brockovich. Second thing, Mickey spots an old lady watching them. And 3, Blonde launches a poison dart at the Doctor. About species, baby Rexipotarians are hatched from eggs that have tendrils which can move. Now about the Doctor's TARDIS. Underneath the TARDIS console lies the heart of the TARDIS, which contains the energies of the time vortex. Places. Rose mentions her visit to Justitia, Woman Wept, and the glass pyramid of St. Kaloon. The Doctor and Margaret have dinner at Bistro 10. About food and beverages, Margaret raises a toast of champagne to the future. Margaret was having a cup of tea when the Doctor was asking for her, and the Doctor orders steak and chips for dinner. Building in relation to technology, the Doctor uses his sonic screwdriver to reverse Margaret's teleport. About languages, Welsh is used for or mentioned numerous times throughout the episode. For example, that bad wolf in Welsh. In relation to culture, Mickey refers to Captain Jack as jumping Jack Flash. Another thing in culture is that Mickey rhetorically asks Jack if he's the captain of the Innuendo Squad. And the last thing in world building is the victims, is the architect of the project and the members of the Cardiff Heritage Committee are killed by Margaret. Then some story notes. The episode had the working title of Dining with Monsters. Russell T Davies joked that a much better name for this episode would be What Should We Do with Margaret? Second thing, this episode was originally offered to Paul Abbott, who submitted a storyline revealing that Rose had been bred by the Doctor as an experiment in creating a perfect companion. However, Abbott had to abandon the project due to his commitment to Shameless. In its place, Rusty Davis developed the Void, which was principally set aboard the TARDIS. Third note is Russell T Davies brought back Annette Bedland as Margaret Blaine due to her performance in Aliens of London and World War III, being quote unquote brilliant, though she had a few lines. The third thing is that Russell T Davies intended the episode to be a character piece exploring whether the Doctor had the authority to take someone to their death sentence, as well as showing the consequences of the Doctor's actions the last time he met Margaret. The storyline was fitting for Christopher Eccleston's war-torn Doctor. Consequences of the Doctor's lifestyle was also explored through the Rose's boyfriend Mickey, who has been forced to move on because she is not around. A fifth thing is the resolution is a deliberate Deus ex machina, regressing Margaret so he can start anew. Although Rusty Davies remarked that the resolution did not come completely out of nowhere, as the TARDIS psychic link had been already established. Another thing is, the night shoot of Rose and Mickey in front of the water tower at Roald Dahl Plus had to be extended to 2 nights because it was below the temperature at which the fountain automatically shuts off. Another thing is that Rusty Davis stated that he wanted to incorporate Welsh culture because the series is made in Wales. It contains a lot of Welsh crew members. He also wanted to show off how beautiful the area could be. Another thing is that the dinner scene between the Doctor and Margaret was filmed in January 2005 at the Cardiff restaurant Bistro 10 before the rest of the episode was filmed. Christopher Eccleston filmed the scene while Billy Piper and John Barrowman were filming scenes for The Empty Child. He was due to Annette Bedland also filming the final season of Cutting It. Some of the schedule was also rearranged because of the death of Piper's uncle, resulting in her and Eccleston being replaced by doubles to some scenes near the end of the episode. Another thing is, the egg Margaret turns into was a reused prop from the end of the world. Another thing is, the French title is L'Explosion de Cardiff, the Cardiff explosion. The Japanese title is The Sorrowful Sliding. Another thing is, this is the first episode of the revised series to include a previously caption at the beginning of the episode. Even though this episode wasn't a two-parter, it did have the same sliding from the first two-parter, Aliens of London and World War III. This would be the only episode in first Rusty Davies era that has a caption for previously trailers shown at the beginning of an episode. If it was a part of a 2 or 3 part story. Next episode to feature this will be Flesh and Stone. Another thing is, William Thomas, the actor who played Mr. Cleaver, apparently appeared as Martin in Remembrance of the Daleks, making him the first actor to appear in both the classic and revived series of Doctor Who. Another thing is, since so many cost-saving measures were in place for the episode, Rusty Davies concluded that the budget could stretch to accommodate a visually striking climax, which took the form of an earthquake. Next thing, Russell T Davies intended the script to tread new ground by examining the moral repercussions of the Doctor's deeds, particularly in the context of capital punishment, to which Davies was personally imposed. Next thing is, Rose refers to an adventure on the planet Justicia, a reference to the novel The Monsters Inside, marking the first time television series ever acknowledged any of the spin-off material. It replaced dialogue referring to an unseen adventure on Gracic Major. Another thing is that it was initially planned that the episode would be paired with Bedwolf, The Parting of the Ways, to form season one's fifth and final production block. But for logistical reasons, however, episode 11 eventually comprised block 5 on its own. Another thing is that Paul Kelly was an early candidate to direct. The next thing is the dinner scene took place in Bistro 10 at Merrimack Quay in Cardiff Bay, which was close to where Russell T Davies lived. Next thing is it was during production that it was confirmed that the series would return for a second season. Yeah. And the last thing, story note is that Russell T Davies was delighted by Annette Patrick's performance as Idris Hopper and hoped to make Idris a regular character in Torchwood, only to learn that Patrick was unavailable. Instead, he created Iento Jones. So, the story notes. And last thing, the continuity and context, because there are some references to the past. There are some future episodes who refer to this episode. Doctor Who Universe is big. So, the story in continuity and context. First thing, 6 months have passed since the events of Sleding's attempted destruction of Earth. We see that in the two-part story TV Aliens of London / World War III. Second thing, Rose mentions how a woman called Gwyneth saved the world in 1869. Rose and the Doctor also encountered the temporal rift at that time. There's a link to TV episode The Inquiet Dead. Jack will have many dealings with the rift during his later association with Torchwood. For example, TV episode Everything Changes, etc. Third thing, the Doctor once again calls Mickey Ricky. TV episode Aliens of London. Rose mentions previous trips to Platform 1, linked to TV episode The End of the World. And Justicia, linked to Prose The Monsters Inside. Fifth thing is any Slytherin who returns to Rex Pretorius will be slowly melted into living soup. It's linked to Prose Rex Pretorius. Blonde mentions that other groups of the family Slytherin survive in other parts of space. And there's a link to Prose The Monsters Inside Rex Pretorius. The Doctor explains the TARDIS shape while discussing the chameleon circuit to his companions, mentioning that he landed it in the 1960s. It got stuck as a police box. That's a link to the first story of Doctor Who, first Doctor William Hartnell. That is an underdirty child. Another thing is there's some sort of power beneath the TARDIS console. There's relation with the TV episode The Edge of Destruction. Another thing is the heart of the TARDIS previously appeared in TV episode Terminus, where it was merely an electronic engine for the vehicle that could be manually removed from the console. This more powerful iteration of the TARDIS heart would later serve as a crucial plot point in TV episode The Parting of the Ways and TV episode Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. Next thing is tribal physics was first mentioned offhanded by Sarah Jane Smith in the TV episode Pyramids of Mars. Another thing is Torchwood 3 had been in existence since at least 1899 in Cardiff, with Jack involved in the organization since 1899 and in charge from the end of 1999 TV episode Fragments. This means that the Doctor's arrival near the rift, his party's reunion with Mickey, and the subsequent Slytherin adventure, all involving Captain Jack, take place very close to the older Captain Jack and his Torchwood team. Jack would later reference having to wait until a version of the Doctor that coincided with him arrived. Encountering the Doctor and his younger self at this point would have been unacceptable. There's a link to TV episode Utopia. In addition, a third older Jack, cryogenically frozen, is also nearby, unknown to both younger Jacks. Link to TV Exit Wounds. In prose, The Twilight Street, it is established that Jack locked himself and his team inside the hub for the day to prevent them from meeting his younger self. Another thing, a newspaper clipping regarding Blaine's election was pinned up in the Torchwood 3 information office entrance. As relates to TV episode Reset. Next thing is, similarly, another enemy of the Doctor, Pengel, was also regressed in time, this time to a baby. The link to TV, the Lyser Hive. Another thing is, in his fifth incarnation, the Doctor was similarly told by an alien that returning to them home would result in their death. But that time, he offered to take the criminal to another planet to avoid his death sentence. We see that in the TV story, The Visitation. Another thing is, the previous Lord Mayor of Cardiff was killed by an Alton in London on 5th March 2005. There's a link to TV episode. First name is Rose, and in the audio, One Rule. Next thing is Blonde briefly plays with the silver ball the Doctor had previously filled with. We see that in TV episode The End of the World and Father's Day. And the last thing in continuity context overall is that the Ninth Doctor mobile phone was first mentioned in prose. Have you seen this man? So, and that's my Francis. That's it. So now some commercial, and then I will say things. So sci-fi and fantasy fans meet on the channel for fun chats about the books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food, drinks, music, and sports. Randoms will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random Cause will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also, because we'll have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who. So cheers, mate, and have a lot of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. So, I hope you enjoy this live stream. So, I say to you, have a nice day, and I will see or speak you next time. For now, bye bye. Have a good day and watch Doctor Who. Doei. Oh, doei.